Our country is unique. In no other place in the world are laws still being made by hereditary aristocrats, people whose only claim to be lawmakers is their privileged birth. And it's quite obvious that this is the way God wants it to be. He's preserved our rulers from rebellion, from constitutional reform, as well as from attack from foreigners, from Huns, frogs, wops, dagos. Dagos! I haven't even mentioned the single most famous example of the weather intervening to save Britain, the Spanish Armada. If it hadn't been for the storms of 1588, Philip of Spain would probably have landed his 30,000 men in England, overrun the British, and I'd probably now be speaking to you in some sort of Spanish and wearing a sombrero or something.
Oh, but it wasn't like that at all.
What wasn't?
The campaign of 1588. The Spanish commander, the Duke of Medina Sidonia, had to sail according to a strict plan of campaign, which involved him liaising with the Duke of Parma's army of 40,000 in flat-bottom barges, like our own landing craft today, and to convoy these invasion troops across the Channel. If the weather and the wind intervened at this point at all, it was actually to save the Spanish Armada from being driven onto the sandbanks, which would have destroyed them.
But I mean, what about that then? I mean, whoever painted this picture clearly thought that England had been saved by the storms.
But this painting is a commissioned piece of propaganda myth-making. It supports the idea of the Tudor dynasty and Britain's future imperial greatness. The storm took place off the coast of Ireland after the campaign was over, after the Armada had failed. The Spanish were on their way home.
Oh, but it still fits, though, doesn't it? I mean, we hadn't destroyed many of their boats, so God obviously destroyed the rest of the fleet, so they couldn't attack us again.
Well, there is a point to that, because later Philip II sent two further armadas against Great Britain, both of which were either partly destroyed or driven back by storms.
Ah, so you do agree that God has been using the weather to protect the English aristocracy for the last 900 years?